Still in the middle.
Like his girlfriend was like, he thought you guys went off the road. Like,
Because all 5 of our phone stopped working.
we had no reception.
No updates. I emailed everybody, what's going on, and no one was answering, no one was even checking if they
And
read their
we
message.
couldn't even find Greeley because we lost GPS.
Oh my God.
So we like just followed signs, and then it was the Friday night we just like drove in and we were having a Friday night. And I think, were you guys playing that event maybe? Or someone else was? The pub Friday night.
Oh yeah.
All right.
All right.
We're pretty hot here on the mics, so he's going to do a little bit of sound balancing here while we get started. Hi, everybody. Hello. Hello. For those of you who aren't familiar with who I am, my name is Susan, also known Lady Susan. I'm the host of Thunder on the Plains, which is Nebraska's only locally produced Celtic music radio show. Been doing that for about 13 years now. Thank you. We survived 2020. Woo! And I think that's a cheer for everyone. And so this year here at Greeley, we thought it would be a great opportunity to not only interview the bands like I do on a regular basis for my show here at Greeley. We'll go up into their green rooms and I'll chat with them and record them on our portable recorder, and then I will play it the next day on my program, since my radio show is on Sunday evenings on KZUM out of Lincoln, Nebraska. If you don't live in Lincoln and you want to listen to it, tune in to kzum.org, and all the details for how to listen to the show live or otherwise at any time is out at the front tent by the main stage there. Anyway, instead of doing the quiet little private interview with the band, recording it, putting it on the radio show the next day, we thought it would be a great opportunity to open up the interview with all of you. So what we're trying this year is we're going to have a Q&A with the bands here from the main stage. And earlier on in the afternoon, we chatted with some of the lads from Miles from Dublin, and also with, oh my gosh, everybody's name has 3 letters, Wild Colonial Boys. And we had a great conversation, and now we are going to be chatting with folks from Chance the Arm and the Town Pants, who've been seeing on the main stage already as well. So if you'd like, feel free to take a seat. If you have any questions that you'd like to ask as we get going, feel free to ask them. We're going to kick it off, though, by introducing the band to y'all. I'm going to have you guys just kind of take turns, let folks know who you are, and then what instrument you play in your band.
Dave from Chance the Arm, play guitars.
John, mandolin, guitar, bass, and singy bits.
All at once? All at once?
Ricky, Chance the Arm, drums.
Okay, story time about Ricky's introducing himself. I don't mean to... This is the challenge of interviewing 2 bands at once. I mean, I'm really stretching myself thin here, but a few years ago I interviewed Chance the Arm in a storage room at the Western Irish Festival. Do you remember that? There was barley and hops in bags surrounding everybody on the walls. And I asked them to do a sound bite for the radio station. You know, you hear on the radio, you say, "Hi, this is Justin Bieber, and you're listening to blah, 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 blah." I asked these guys to do that, only say their names, not Justin Bieber, because they're not actually Justin Bieber. So not yet. He's working on the impression. We'll talk later. So they were doing this introduction, and they were going down the line, and at one point in time, Ricky said, "I'm Ricky on the drums." And everybody remembers that soundbite. Yes, every time I hear somebody say, I play the drums, I'm always going, "I'm Ricky on the drums," and everybody looks at me very oddly. So anyway, this is Ricky on the drums.
Ricky on the drums.
Ricky on the drums, everybody. All right, sorry. Okay, continue. Sorry.
I don't know how I'm going to follow that one. I'm Jeff on the drums.
Wait, does Chance the Arm have 2 drummers?
They do now. Sorry.
Now we've moved over to the boys in black, to the the men in black than the women in black. I don't.
I'm Dwayne Keel on the guitar and some vocals.
I'm Johanna So on fiddle in the town pants.
I'm Dave. I play mandolin and banjo and do some of the singy bits. Yeah, for the town bands.
And you can't do that all at once.
That's a COVID-friendly high five.
Yeah.
The other was like smack right there.
Fine. So what I'd like to do is to talk a little bit about the history of each of your bands, how you came to be, and then also how that three-word name happened. Because did you notice that every single band, all 4 bands on the main stage today, their names are 3 letters long, or 3 words long. 3-word names. Words are hard. It's been 18 months. So it's The Town Pants, it's Chance the Arm, it's Wild Colonial Boys, and Miles from Dublin. So, how did your name come to be? 1, how did you decide on the name? And do you have any theories as to why 3-word band names is so popular?
So we formed maybe 10 years ago. It was Dave's brainchild. He just called everyone and said, let's do a heavy metal band, but Irish music. And all of us are college buddies who came from like heavy metal world. Like none of us played Irish music at all. We're like, all right, cool, we're not doing anything else. And our original band name was Finn McCool, because that sounds cool, right? You're gonna associate cool with McCool.
Then we realized every seedy Irish bar was named that. So
it was. So in order to stand out, we had like a Robert's Rules session of like everyone put names in a hat. We were almost Monster Truck O'Malley. Almost.
It would have been 3 words.
Exactly.
That would have been 3 words.
But we landed on Chance the Arm. I don't remember the full myth. Basically, it means take a risk, right? With some serious, like you're actually going to lose a limb connotations. But the theory from my point of view on the 3-word band names, it just, I don't know, it just sounds complete. Like Chance Arm is just missing something, right?
All your popular songs are always 3 minutes and 32 seconds long.
That's
it works.
No, that's a record label issue.
But it works.
Right.
Okay. So, I mean, I don't know. I prefer playing 7-minute long tracks on my radio show, but who am I to say I'm an independent radio station?
You're an artist.
No, I'm an artiste. Anyway, okay, there's one theory. Now the Town Pants. How did your name come to be?
I'm going to start with a theory about the 3 words. It's easy to chant. I think any chant you've ever heard is ba 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 ba.
That's a lot more.
3-word
Yeah,
band.
I think that I stole that from Jeff actually, because he was telling me that about all these slogans.
Town pants isn't as fun to say.
Right, and just 2 words, it seems negative, like Chance Arm, you know? It's Chance Arm, Chance, you know what I mean? It's, yeah, more
You
positive.
could have it to Jeff the Drums. Jeff the Drums. Jeff the Drums.
Led Zeppelin. Led Zeppelin.
Okay.
That's syllables, not words, Jeff. This is why you're a drummer. No offense.
Count to 4.
Our name came from an Irish racehorse. My brother and I, I was in a thrash metal band, hair down to my waist. This is my COVID hair. I did honestly promise I wouldn't get a cut until after COVID, so it's never this long. But anyway, I was in a thrash metal band. I was looking for something different to do, and our family was half French Canadian, half Irish. There's a lot of drinking, a lot of singing, a lot of partying went on. Yeah, you guys know, right? And so we just kind of, I was like, I'm so tired of doing the metal scene and playing all these things. I'm like, I still want to play, but something different. Putting away my axe, and to get an acoustic guitar, and we started doing the Irish stuff. And eventually, my brother here, he'd gone to Vancouver to do acting. Most recently on DC's Legends of Tomorrow, was the cowboy narrator. And so we started up there, and we were called Van Diemen's Band. Again, 3 words: Van Diemen's Band, Van Diemen's Band, which is, but we wanted to change it, and so we went to Ireland to join 997. And this lovely little old Irishman in the tweed jacket and with the sleeves and the cap, the whole 9 yards. And old Irishman said, "I'll take you to the races." We went to the races, and he goes, "I've got a short thing on a horse called the Town Pants. Put your money on it." So we didn't have very much money. We put it on, It came in like second or third, enough for us to pay for our pints for the night. And we're like, there we go, we're done. There's no chance of anyone that name being registered in the world except for this horse. So yeah.
Which was going to die after that race.
What? What?
Well, it's probably dead now, so you're fine.
So they wouldn't try to.
You have outlived said horse.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
beating a dead horse.
Oh.
Oh, there's so many things that are not coming on the mics right now. You guys got to remember, we are shit.
The horse lived till 50, a very healthy horse, and we thought, healthy as a horse. Yeah, there you go.
The end. Yeah.
Chance,
the
see, yeah,
end.
go, Tom, Chance.
So, you had mentioned that it was the 90s. You guys are coming up on a milestone for your band, I think next year, is that right? Yeah, 25
years
in
next
2022?
Yep.
So how would you say the band has evolved over the past 25 years?
Well, first of all, except for Dwayne and I, no one in the band has been in the band for 25 years. Just my brother and I are stubborn enough to keep doing this. Johanna's been with us 4 years now.
Yeah, it'll be 5.
It'll be 5 coming up.
Yeah.
And Jeff now, we've not actually known Jeff for a lot of years. He played in different bands, we played different festivals together. And it's got to be 4 years as well for you.
Oh, yeah. I think 5.
5?
1
Yeah.
year before Johanna.
So how's it evolved? Everything's evolved. Our songwriting has evolved, our show has evolved, the places we go have evolved.
We do less pub shows.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do a lot less pub shows. We used to travel with an entire PA system, which actually saved us. We did a festival in Fergus, Ontario, Canada, and they had record rainfalls. Everything got flooded out. The entire main stage that we were supposed to play, all the speakers were useless. Everything was useless. And I'm like, do we tell them? Do we? Because we're going to, it's one of those things where you're going to get paid anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's like, do we, and we'd done most of the festival work, do we tell them we have a PA system in the trailer? And like, you know what, we should, because everyone's like so down and all that stuff. And so we got them to kind of make a makeshift stage in the beer tent, which was out of the flooded zone. People were slugging our speakers through like this amount of water. And we set everything up and played to about 1,000 people in the beer tent, and everybody was, you saved the festival, and then they didn't have us the next year. Yeah.
They didn't have you, or they didn't have the festival?
No, they had the festival. They just didn't have. They have insurance for the rain and all that stuff too. They're fine. But yeah.
Did you ever go back there?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
just not the next year.
Many times. Oh, they're a great festival. Just not the next year.
We were a little chuffed. We're like, didn't we save the whole?
Yeah.
You never look a gift horse in the mouth.
Gift horse.
Yeah.
You're never gonna let that go.
So that's one of the ways we've evolved. Really, is we at this point in our careers we will only play a venue that comes with a sound man and a sound system. Which for years we would do, like, you'd have your anchor shows, which are your festivals, but then you'd try to throw in 2 or 3 other shows that week at pubs. Make $1,000 here, $1,000, like, making a little bit of, right? I mean, because touring is a very expensive thing. But we just said, no more of that. Because, I mean, one show at a pub can be an 8-hour affair of setting up, doing sound check, tearing down, doing the show, all that stuff, You got to get there before the audience is there. Like, it's a big day. And we're just like, enough of that.
Not to mention the traveling to get to the show, all the work that goes around before you even get to the show, after the show, all the pack up.
You don't even need a mic.
No, I'm a drummer. I can speak pretty loudly. Jeff the drums, Ricky the drum.
I hope we keep circling back to that.
Oh,
Yeah,
I mean,
right?
it's the theme. All right, so we talked a little bit about how you folks are mainly doing festivals now and trying to really focus on that scene over the past 25 years, and then even over the past 10 years as Chance the Arm has grown. What changes have you seen in the festival scene, namely the Celtic music festival scene? Have there been any major shifts in, say, lineups, in the way festivals are managed, in the way musicians are respected, and demographic changes that you might have seen over the years, either positive or negative?
Well, I don't know about the festival scene. Like we're pretty peripheral to a lot of the festival scene. We're very much in the we're mostly pub phase, but occasionally we get thrown on a nice festival, and like we got invited here to Greeley, which is always an honor. But I have another outfit called the Musical Blades, and they've been in the fair circuit for about 20 years.
Renaissance Fair.
Yes,
Yep.
and there's a ton of overlap that I've seen between Ren Fair acts who can kind of double as Celtic music acts. And I've seen over the last 4 years, there's a smaller divide happening as a lot of the older acts who are very kind of old school, mostly dudes playing, switching into a lot more mostly women acts coming up. I see it a lot more on the East Coast, where they're taking on singing lead roles and definitely violin, a lot of the things that I think might get attributed to maybe women, like, oh, you're the violinist, so that's what you do. But I'm seeing that shift there. I don't know if that's going to carry over to festival world, but I'm definitely seeing a bigger shift in popularity in that music. And of course, sea shanties were inexplicably popular this year.
Yep, thank you,
Because of
TikTok.
TikTok.
Thank you, TikTok. Yep. You know, I don't mean to cut you guys off if you've got stuff to share, but I think that brings a really good springboard into the fact that at this festival, your two bands are the only bands that have a woman in them. They're only, if you haven't noticed, this festival today on the main stage, out of all four of the bands on this lineup, there's only 2 women on that main stage. And that really kind of speaks to an issue regarding gender balance, or namely gender imbalance in Celtic and Irish music. And there's actually been a few, this is more, you guys might be aware of this, but this is more for the information of the crowd here, is that there's, in the past 2 to 3 years, there's actually been an organized push to talk about gender imbalance in this specific Celtic music industry. There's an organization that was started by some of the great Celtic music singers in Ireland called Fair Play, PLE, which talks about and addresses gender balance in the industry right now. And then actually last year there was an uptick of conversations surrounding women who were victims of sexual harassment and sexual assault within the Irish traditional music scene in Ireland specifically, that expanded through social media to become a global conversation titled Misha Fosta, which is the Irish word, or the Irish phrase for Me Too, if we remember the Me Too movement that happened on social media in 2017. And a lot of these conversations are still happening, and you had mentioned that this is happening, you're noticing this shift happen in at least the Renaissance music scene, but I'm hearing you say that there still is a little bit to go to build that similar momentum in the shows and the venues and the events that you're seeing. Is that accurate?
I think that's accurate. I mean, and again, speaking only from that point of view, but from what I've seen, there's a bigger push from younger generations. So kids in their early 20s that are just enamored with the idea of being on a festival circuit, or being like a full-time nomadic musician, which we know is not always sunshine, but they're really getting into it, and I think they're carving out their own niche. So I think that you're probably going to see some carryover into festival. At least I hope that way. I mean, for our part, I talked to you earlier today. We're actually auditioning a 6th member of the band right now, and she is a multi-instrumentalist. She would be like co-fronting with me, and I think that's the right thing to do, mostly because she is an amazing singer and I am not. And she will there's no reason I should be up there at that point. Like, yeah, you should take this, really.
So I'm hearing it's kind of a generational thing that you've noticed. It's kind of a generational change.
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Any perspectives from you guys? I mean, you've been in the scene a little bit longer, 25 years as a group. I don't want to sit here and talk to Johanna. I mean, she is experienced necessarily, because she has sat here and experienced this firsthand as a woman. We talked a little bit earlier about our experiences as women in the music industry. And so, you being with the group for 4 or 5 years now, I wonder if the guys who have been here longer have a perspective of, have you seen a shift? Have you seen a change? Or at least a conversation beginning in the music industry, or from an artist's perspective?
with us, we have had probably 90% female fiddle players because it seems to be the main thing that women will take up instrumentally. We had a female upright bass player, loved her. I was like, this is great. Visually, it's perfect. She was a tiny little girl and playing this giant bass, and she was really, really good at it. And I really enjoyed when she played with the band. And it's just hard to find female musicians who don't not just play fiddle. Sorry, mostly it's fiddles. People are like, wow, you always get girl fiddle players. I'm like, well, no, we've had guys, but these are the fiddle players that play. We've seen there's a band that friends of ours called the Screaming Orphans. There's 4 sisters.
Amazing.
Yeah, amazing.
They should bring them here. That would be a great fit for this place. So.
Yeah, they play everything, and they're all amazing, and they're the friendliest people you'd ever want to meet.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just you just don't meet a lot of female drummers.
I can say something. On my time off of the road, I do teach drums at a music store in Syracuse, New York, and I have to say at least 3/4 of my students were females. So for drummers, there tends to be a thing where there's a lot of female drummers coming up because they kind of not only can they do it, sometimes they can do it better. There's that attitude that they really have something to prove. And unfortunately, they're absolutely right. They do have something to prove. They've been put into that stereotypical part of our society where, oh, you're a girl, I bet you play drums and hit like a girl. Oh yeah? Well, she probably hits harder and better than you do. So I think that it doesn't really, to me, there's no gender. It's just, are you a drummer and are you good? Do you sound good? So I think if women have the capabilities to be whoever they want to be, and I have 2 daughters myself. One of them's going to be a fiddle player. She just started. So I think no matter what they do, they should be treated equally in any way, no matter what instrument it is.
Nice.
I guess I will add, being a woman on the road in an industry dominated by men is a very unique life experience. It's kind of like being the only girl on a baseball team, which was my childhood experience. I think part of the conversation in the industry needs to also be around tour life, because oftentimes, I can't deny that maybe as a woman, I want my own change room, or I want a shower more often than the men in the band might want one.
And maybe you want them to have a shower more often.
That's why we have a shower rule before you get in the van. But, there are certain kind of quirks that I'm not going to deny as a girl, that I prefer to, be clean, and I might have certain requests or certain backstage needs. And I've started just learning I have to voice my needs, otherwise they aren't going to be met. And I think the problem is that too many women who tried to get into the music industry have backed off of voicing their needs and just left the industry. So if they don't feel comfortable voicing their needs, eventually they're just going to give up.
And on the flip side of that, I've had conversations with female artists that were really interested in touring with the band, but when you give them the reality of what touring with the band is, they're often not as interested, or they just don't understand. There's been many times where okay, so we will try to give you your own room as often as we can, but sometimes it's just not in the budget. We just can't do it, or you're playing this venue that puts you up in a house that only has 2 rooms and 16, bunk beds or something. There's a lot of strange accommodations out there. We once slept, we were all in the same room, and there was a coffin in the room, we can't get we can't have a contract for that, so you can't, hold on, you can't not
tell that whole story.
Right. I don't actually, you know what?
Okay.
Strangely enough, I don't remember the location.
Yep, don't worry. We have the whole story. It's recorded in the interview I did with the Town Pants 2 years ago.
Oh, did we mention that?
Yes, you talked about the coffin, and so we've got it on our Thunder on the Plains SoundCloud. If you want to hear the whole story about staying in a room with a coffin,
Right.
I got you. I got you.
Good. Well, maybe we remembered the details back then, 2 years ago.
It's been a long 18
Pre-COVID, we
months.
remembered a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's, you know, sometimes when they're faced with the reality of what touring in a band is, they're willing to do it for a year or two, you know, to have that life experience, and then they just don't want to, you know. And I think that's maybe why there's less females, because maybe we're just a bunch of schleps that are willing to deal with some horrible accommodations sometimes, and long drives, and being away from our families, and not making your best friend's wedding, and not being at all these huge events that are very important. We're kind of willing to just say, guys, I'm sorry, we can't say no to this festival. It's 10% of our yearly income, you know.
Right.
Whereas I think it breaks something inside of a lot of the females that we've worked with in the past to say no to a family, to a wedding or an event. Maybe that's part of it. I think, Johanna, could you add to that?
I have missed 9 of my cousin's weddings since I joined the band, and I just said no to a friend that I was supposed to be a bridesmaid for 2 weeks ago, and it hurts relationships, and that's just the reality. Like, I feel like I'm on the outside of my extended family now, because all my cousins get together and they go to these weddings and they see each other a couple times a year. That's the family reunion, is going to the wedding. But we joke like, hey, if you want us at your wedding, get married on a Tuesday. We'll be there. You know, like Mondays and Tuesdays are our weekends.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
Book the band at your wedding.
So, go ahead.
And my best friend, Sunny, who's a girl, she got married on a Wednesday because she wanted me to be there. And so we were actually on tour out here, and I said, I'll fly in for the day, but I can't do it on a weekend. I can't have 5 people unemployed because I'm going to a wedding. It's just not,
Right,
you know.
right.
And so anyway, all that to say, she had the wedding on a Wednesday, explained it to her family saying, this is the exact day Ron and I met, and that's why we're having it on a Wednesday, even though she was just doing it so that I could fly in and be there.
Aw, but it works.
Yeah, it worked. And I
works.
was there. It's the only wedding I've been to in about 15 years.
Oh, so, you know, we talked a lot about, you know, the sacrifices made on touring. Now let's segue a little bit into the past 18 months. And I'm trying not to say the dreaded P word on the stage. So, you know, think of all the different alternatives. So during the past 18 months of the Panini, we want to, the touring has been nixed, we'll just say that. So how has that impacted your lives? I mean, I'm aware that the Town Pants, you're primarily, like, this is your full-time gig, and I think for you guys, there's still day jobs for Chance the Arm. That's still a thing. So how has your lives and your band's lives been impacted during this panorama?
Well, we didn't practice for well over a year when the pandemic hit. We didn't have any shows.
Haliosaurus.
Oh, Panini. I'll say Panini. But
I
yeah,
have a whole
I
list
mean,
if you want some.
this is our first time back on a stage in almost 2 years. The last time we played a show was in December 2019. We had just released a CD. We had a big CD release show coming up. St. Pat's was coming up, and everything was just stopped dead in its tracks. And we had talked about getting together, but none of us knew anything about COVID. We're like, oh, let's just play it safe, you know. Maybe we'll get together once or twice in the summer. And a year went by, you know, and actually went by pretty quick, and we just never got together, you know. And we decided we you know, set goals to get out and start doing shows again this fall. And luckily, we just got happened to get the Greeley show, so we just kind of hit it hard and started practicing for that. But yeah, I mean, it stopped us dead in our tracks. But you know, like you said, all of us, we have like day jobs and careers, so you know, I just kind of did that, and I was like, well, whenever Chance the Arm, you know, starts, you know, playing again, that's when it'll happen. So just wasn't really pushing it. So.
And when did you guys start rehearsing again? That was the summer? May?
Yeah, it was May. I think we did like once every couple weeks or so, just get together and knock some rust off.
Once vaccines were kind of more
Once
accessible.
we were
for you
vaxxed
folks.
and There was a lot of rust to knock off. We got together at practice.
I used to play bass and rust to knock off.
Well, for me, no, I'd get on the drums and I'd play these songs and I'd just like blank right in the middle of it. I'm like, oh my God, like this used to be second nature to
Don't
me,
you just
know?
count to
Like,
4 or 6? Depending on the time signature? Come on, Ricky on the drums.
that's all you need is count to 4.
I can count to 5.
Ooh, you
But-
played the Mission Impossible theme song, haven't you?
You know, luckily for drums, you know, you can't really miss a note. So if you just keep the beat, you're good. Like these guys, if they miss a note, it's very obvious. So I can play my mistakes off like it was intentional.
Yeah, we're very familiar with
Most of the time.
Faking it till you're making it? Yeah, fake it till you make it. How about you guys? It's been
Yeah,
very-
same thing. And strangely enough, we had to stop around the same month. Weird. Yeah, so we had our biggest St. Pat's month financially planned of our entire careers, and everything got shut down. We did 2 shows, but we could only do them at half capacity, which also killed us because we had already flown to New York. And then we started to do some online stuff. We tried to do some tip-based online gigs, just the 3 of us, because we obviously couldn't rehearse either. Our bass player and drummer lived in Syracuse, and we were in Vancouver, BC, Canada. So we started to do some tip-based shows and realized that maybe 5% of the people watching tipped. And even though the payoff was okay, we hated the fact that like 100 people, maybe 40 people contributed, and 6,000 watched, but not even like $5 or something, you know? Like even $1 would make such a huge difference at that point, and people just watch, and I think when they're not paying for it, I also realize that people don't respect it. So at the time, you may watch a few minutes, the song you don't like goes on, you go to the next Facebook page to watch, oh, there's another show going on at the same time. Everybody was like trying to get the same airtime as well. So after realizing that, and it's kind of a horrible realization, to be honest. We decided we were only going to do, if we did online shows, it was going to be ticketed only. So that, and it wasn't a lot, but if you want to support live music, then be willing to actually pay for live music. Pay for your music, because it's a service like anything else. You don't expect to get your plumbing for free. Why would you expect to get your music for free? So we started doing some paid shows, which just felt better on the soul. You know what I mean? Like you felt, cause even if you only did the show for 40 people, they are all there. They paid. They're excited to do it. You're not giving it away. Or we usually give it to like healthcare workers. Like, let us know if there's a healthcare worker out there that needs this show for free. Let us know, and we'll just send them a free ticket, of course. But or if somebody has lost their way of life, their income because of the
everything.
the penguins.
Panera Bread.
Because of Panera, yeah. Then we'll gladly give you a free ticket. But it was a game changer for us to just say everything's going to be ticketed, and people will actually watch the entire show. If they pay $5 or $10 for the show, they'll actually sit there and watch it from beginning to end.
Yeah, they're invested into it.
You know what I mean? And that's important, I think. I think to have people respect it as it's a show, it's a production.
Right.
Because there's a lot of work that goes into it.
And that's one really important way that I think folks who are unable to attend the live festivals still, because there's, the live festivals are still coming up. Everything is still very tenuous. Border crossings are still very tenuous. Half of your band had to do a lot to cross the Canadian border to make it into the States, and you're continuing to have to do a lot of safety protocols and testing to make sure that you're safely able to come back and forth.
We get a COVID test every single week to go back into Canada. So we and it's a crapshoot because we can get the fast one. It's $225 a person.
Ooh.
So $675 US for every show we do. That's just not going to happen. So we get the free Rite Aid, and they're like, it's between 1 and 7 days. After 72 hours, the test is no longer valid. So we like, when we came in yesterday, we left Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. Way up there, we drove straight to Syracuse. We got the test done. We picked up him, all our stuff, went to the airport, North Carolina, drove here. We got here at 4 in the morning. And now tomorrow we have to drive out in time to get our flight tomorrow afternoon, just to get back to Syracuse. And then we can either maybe go back home to Canada, or we have to wait till first thing Monday morning till the test results come in. So it's been insanely stressful for that. But one of the lighter things, which is funny, is that when we got our work permits, because we're Canadian, so we need what's called a P2 work permit, we suddenly went from completely useless to essential. I've got to be the only essential Canadian banjo player in the States right now. because that was it. It was just like, they're like, no, you can't get in. I'm like, how do we get in? They're like, oh, once you get the paperwork, you're essential. I'm like, that's it? Wow.
That's what it takes.
I went from literally just a drain on society to being an essential worker in one day.
There's got to be a very, very niche, amazing banjo joke somewhere in this, and I don't know what it is.
I'll have to work it because I know lots of musicians. I don't know a single other essential banjo player.
Yeah, there we go.
Practice for nothing.
And now coming into the States, the border guards basically know us.
Oh,
Because
nice.
it's so empty, and we go to the same crossing every time.
And you're like, hey, Mike.
Yeah,
Hey, John.
they're like, oh, you're the band.
Oh, the band is coming again. You're going back in.
Didn't they have your music playing in the office while you guys were waiting to be checked out? Oh yeah.
Oh, that's
These
awesome.
guys, I'm American. I'm one of the 2 Americans in the band, so I really feel.
There's 3 Americans.
Technically, Johanna is also American. She's actually from Alaska. So I can't imagine what these guys have been going through, but just to watch them put up with it and their dedication to their craft is the reason I love playing with this band so much, because I've spent so much time dealing with other bands that take everything for granted. These guys don't take anything for granted. They're 100% professional and dedicated to it, and it's what I love the most about them. So here's Tito.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Jeff the drums.
Yeah. So we're ending kind of on an upbeat note. There's been a lot of challenges over the George Papadopoulos the last 18 months. So I want to make sure that we're ending on these high notes here. And you guys, you had mentioned you released an album and then everything shut down. Have you had your album release party yet?
No.
Can we call Greeley a pre-celebration for that album release party? Okay.
Yes.
We're pre-gaming. Yes. Okay. So
Please buy our album.
yes. Tell.
We bought so many CDs before parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme shut everything down. So many. Please buy them.
Okay.
And t-shirts.
Yes, and so you can support them by buying their merchandise, buying their CDs, but also I want to say something a way that you can support these artists for free is by going to their social media profiles, wherever platform you utilize, go to their social media page, give them a like, a follow, whatever it is on that platform, and every time you see a post by them on your feed, interact with it in some way. That means doing a like, a heart, or whatever, and also commenting something like a sentence, like an actual comment of worth. So it's great to see you, even if it's something that means nothing to you, like say they're gonna go do a festival 1,000 miles away from you, if you see them post, comment on that post. And what that does is tell the sciencey maths of this computer science algorithm that is happening. It tells that algorithm, hey, this post is interesting, people are interacting with it, that must mean it's worth showing to more people. And then more people will see that post, and if more people interact with that post, it gets fed to even more people who are probably like-minded like you, who enjoy their music, and that in turn helps boost their content out to more people in hopes that the other people will be able to support their music as well. So that's an easy way, if you are on social media, to go and support these artists without spending a dime and taking away 30 seconds of your time whenever you see something. So there's that as well. I just want to make sure that that's... What? Oh, did we have a question? We have time for one question, probably. I'm sorry, we're going to be running out of time here, and that's where we're at, right?
I know Town Tents, you play a lot of big festivals. I think you guys do too, but what do you see about our festival compared to, like Syracuse, Milwaukee, or whatever?
What makes Greeley stand out? And not necessarily, you don't have to be like, oh, it's so nice, but if you like it, I mean, that's
My
fine.
first word would be community, and just the loveliness of the people. I don't know if you heard this story, but the first year I was here, just 2 years ago, I had, I think, $200 cash in my skirt pocket. I went to the washroom, came out, and it was missing, but I had to get on stage and panicked and told someone nearby I just lost $200. And it must have been you, and you made the announcement, and someone found it and returned it to the stage. And it was like, that's a very heartwarming thing that, I'll always attach that memory to this community, because not just anyone would be that honest. So, yeah.
How about you guys? Chance the arm.
Well, we first communicated with Mike from the committee here. That was probably 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 4 years ago, something like that. And the first time we weren't able to do it, we had another commitment. When we were looking to do it, and I have to be honest, we didn't know what to expect. When we looked at Greeley on Google Earth and things like that. I mean, I love this town. I love this town, and it's nothing but a joy to be here. But man, it just exceeded every expectation for it just meets every parameter for a great festival. And even if we weren't going to play, we were coming back. Just Ricky and I were talking about it. So
Ricky on the drums.
We just have nothing but Ricky the drums. Yeah. Nothing but great things to say about the festival, truly.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
I will add, we don't play a lot of festivals, but we would like to if you know anybody. I don't want that to come off as desperate, but
You're open to opportunities.
we are.
Everybody's open to opportunities.
And you too can be a brand ambassador for Chance the Arm. You can be. Yeah. What?
Yes, you. And you.
Are you pointing at my arm?
Oh, what's
You
the
wanna chance
tattoo
it?
mean?
Chance.
Oh, chance that arm specifically.
Just this one.
No, you have to chance your own, okay? You gotta chance your own. All right. We are running out of time. The dancers are getting ready to come on stage. I could talk to you guys for an hour more, but I know you also have to perform yet tonight. So let's give it up for the folks Chance the Arm and the Town Pants. Thank you so much for sitting down with us, and thank you all for sitting us. Stay tuned. We're gonna have the dancers. I believe they're coming up next in just a few minutes, or is it Dave?
Let's hear
It's
it
Dave.
for Susan.
Hey, Susan! Hey!
Jeff the drums. Jeff the drums. Chance the arm.
Hey, where's your crazy little sock puppet? You had that crazy little sock puppet.